Welcome back, everyone. Hi, it's Bill Wilkerson again, just going to introduce you to the second lesson for the class. And this week we're going to be looking at legal actors. Last week we took a broad overview. This week we're going to dig in a little bit deeper into two aspects of the legal system. In particular, we're going to look at the role of lawyers and judges in the legal system. In terms of lawyers, we want to think about how lawyers are trained. It turns out lawyers in the United States are trained very differently than lawyers in the rest of the world. For example, only in the United States really do lawyers require a separate 4-year undergraduate degree before going to law school. For the most part, lawyers go directly to law school in the rest of the world. They also are educated in a very different way than most other people are educated in the United States today, primarily using the Socratic method, although that's slowly changing. In addition, we want to look at how lawyers do their work and what they do for work. What's the market for lawyers like in terms of getting hired and moving on in the profession? Where do they work? And also related to lawyers, we want to think about access that Americans have to lawyers. How do Americans hire a lawyer? How do they find out that they should hire a lawyer? Those kinds of questions are things that we'll be looking at. And we'll also be looking at judges. How do judges get their job primarily? We'll be focusing to a lesser extent on judges and the work they do throughout the rest of the semester. But this week we want to talk about how judges get their jobs. Many judges in the United States are elected. Others are appointed in various forms, both to state jobs and to the federal bench. What are the pros and cons of each of these? And so this summer, in this lesson, we want to look at these. In terms of materials and assignments for this lesson, we want to run down what you'll have to do. So first of all, we'll be covering 3 chapters in the textbook, and you'll take a quiz. This week's quiz is a little different than the first lesson. There's one short essay question. If you go to the quiz, the short essay question is listed there. So you should be able to prepare an answer to that short essay question before you start the quiz. And you should be able to find some material on this question in the textbook itself. So look at the short essay question before you want to sit down and take the quiz. I would suggest preparing an answer. You could handwrite it out, or you could write it in a text editor and copy and paste it into the answer. It's a short essay. You should be able to answer the question in approximately 1 paragraph. Secondly, we'll be having some online discussions. You're going to be reading an essay by Herbert Kritzer on how some lawyers get paid, something called the contingency fee. In civil cases, especially tort law cases, lawyers get paid by getting a percentage of the award, if there's an award. If there's no award, they don't get paid at all. Is this a good thing, or is it a bad thing? Or are there advantages and disadvantages? So one of the things that we'll want to be looking at in the discussion is, how should lawyers get paid? How do lawyers get paid? What are the advantages and disadvantages of the way lawyers get paid? In addition, we want to spend some time looking at how judges are selected. So you'll be reading an essay by an Alabama judge who talks about the fundraising necessary to run, and also a film called Justice for Sale on judicial elections. In addition, we'll be looking at the ability of voters to remove judges through impeachment. Is this a good thing? Or again, is it a bad thing? What does it mean? What are the implications for our legal system? Your writing assignment this week is about fee arrangement. What kind of impact does it have on lawyer effort? And in particular, you'll be using the Kritzer essay to answer this question. And so it's time to get to work. Take that quiz, start doing the reading, start participating in discussion in Slack. And I'll see you in Slack. Bye.